Hi Daniel, how you doing? So we've got your culmination of your research in your final presentation here, and we'll start with the logo and the presentation itself. Now I've talked a lot about your research and how this culminates into your, and I'm using the air parentheses, I mean the air quotations, your story um, as it pertains to your bid in the project to host the 2022 Olympics. Now, you have your cover page here, and what you have is your opening 2022 Olympic bid. So it's pretty clear as to what's going on. My first and my initial observation is that, well, a couple of things in the logo itself, and this has all been mentioned, so I won't take too much time on this, but watch what happens when the logo gets smaller. See how the blue, the diamond takes over so that you can't see the middle yellow cross anymore as the logo gets smaller. And that's something that I've been mentioning in terms of resizing your work and making sure that the elements that you are using to depict or to say something symbolically are elements that will not be lost while resizing the work. My next observation on this page itself is that what you've done basically here, and this is really interesting because students seem to do this a lot, but you're trying to make boxes. And by doing so, you've got this box here and this box here to kind of frame your presentation. But what you're doing effectively is you're taking away about 30% of your page. So you're squishing your work into this area. And it can be seen, it can be felt. It almost looks like your work is getting squished and it's not allowed out of this area. This is where it can be seen, and that's it. It's in jail, it can't get out. See what I'm saying? And we see that throughout the presentation. That your pages are just forced in between these two blue boxes that just kind of don't allow any breathing room and really impede the free feeling of composition in the work. Introduction. The introduction is good. I would call this a mission statement. This needs to be a solid mission statement right here because you don't have one in your presentation, and that is critical. Mission statement meaning, what is the mission of your project? Not this project, not what's the mission of your project? The mission of your project is to bid a city for the 2022 Olympics and create the visual identifiers for those Olympics, the branding, as it were. That's the mission. You're not giving the mission of the Olympics or of Sweden as a country. You're giving the mission of your part in this project. This is good, much better than it was. I think that this right here is probably the strongest area of symbolically in your presentation. And I just really, and I know many times I've been asking you to really refine these to the point where they're, you don't have any of these stray, loose little points, and they're just more of a free-flowing, organic being like the example. Unfortunately, you've elected not to do that throughout the weeks. I'm not saying you haven't changed them. You have. You've changed them. They look great, and they've come a long way. I just think that there's still parts that are going to cause problems, like these little sticks here. And that little stick right across there, that arm, and that little triangle inside that arm, that little point on the back of the head there, things like that are going to be problematic. So I think this could be considered a missed opportunity in your presentation. Good job adding the relevance of this page. However, I don't know if showing this page after, if this is the inspiration and the origin of your pictograms, I would suggest showing that before your pictograms. The logo itself, again, this is the best illustration I can even think of how this work is just getting squished in the middle of the page. You've got this big, beautiful page to work with, but then you've kind of drawn these boxes around it to force everything to in this little tiny area of the page. And it's really obvious on this page here. Consistency in typography here is compromised because this type presentation is different than the one you've been using throughout the project. No specific real relevance here of showing this with this. I take that back. It's described right here. I take that back. I think that, in moving to portfolio, there's a couple of things you want to understand about presentation of logo. When you present your logo, it's very specific that you have an area around your logo that remains a clear area. We'll call that a clear area so that you can remember that things like this would not be allowed. It's too close to your logo. Actually, in reality, so in presentation, you don't want to place things in a certain area around your logo. This right here, the rings are very, very big in relationship to the type. So the mark is huge, the rings are huge, and the type is pretty tiny. I also think the type is too close to the mark, it's kind of got this stacked effect. Almost like it's trying to balance on top of these rings. And that's why I think that's creating a visual weakness that could be rectified by reducing the size of the rings and increasing the size of the type in relationship to the mark itself. Impact and demographics, good job there. Economy, and then you go into your outdoor graphics. In presentation, any seasoned designer is going to look at this and go, okay, you've got 4 banners, but all you did is change the color, so you're not showing me anything. And I'm just being realistic here, Daniel. That's how something like this is going to get looked at. This placement here, it almost looks like an afterthought. It's just not these things really need to be thought out in order for them to be believable, in order for them to I wouldn't call this stadium decoration either. That's not what we're doing here. We're communicating a specific, intended, symbolic message through the presentation of a carefully designed and developed logo and graphics. So decoration, not so much. There's intense research behind this, so we're going to stay away from the word decoration. Billboards, that's good. Outdoor graphics look pretty good. This almost looks like it's being, I don't know, why is this on the side of a building that's being built? You can see the scaffolding and everything. Wouldn't it make more sense to put a billboard on something that's already been built? I'm just wondering. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It looks great. Everything looks great here. Tickets, I think their type almost looks like a typewriter type. I think you could have done a really good job being expressive in your presentation here. Okay, but again, here you have this little logo that's getting squished into this triangle here. And remember, this is branding, so there's a lot of things that will not be allowed with your brand. For instance, that type right there is awfully close to the logo, as is the blue. So again, other things to think about. Credits, you're going to need to format your credits using APA or MLA format citation style. Very important. I would expect probably in future presentations that you will hear about this because this is critical that your sources are cited correctly. Okay, that's all I have, Daniel. Great job. Good class. Good job hanging in there. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them with me. Thank you.